So what we're going to do today is we're going to show you how to rebuild a zone flush valve for a closet, a water closet. This water closet is a 4.3 gallon, and you can see right there the water's all leaking down, and it runs down, and eventually runs down on the floor and causes a trail of water. So we're going to shut this down and we're going to fix this leak. The first thing you want to do is you want to take the little cap off right here. That's a protected cap, and you want to shut the water off because it's an automatic flusher, so every time you move it'll flush, especially if you're taking it apart. You don't want water flushing all over the place. See, no water. So that's how you shut off the water to a toilet. Now if this is broken, you can shut the water off in the ceiling, and you can unscrew this nut right here, and you can get a rebuild kit. It's called a right angle stop zone valve, shut off valve, and you can rebuild it from the inside. You pull the guts out, you get the new guts, screw it back in, and then you're done. Then you can shut the water off. So what I like to do is first start by taking the head off of it, because it's got to be flush to get the air out, so that this will unlock and unscrew easily. So I put a rag over it so I don't scuff up the metal when I take my channel locks, or you can use channel locks with no teeth. Unfortunately right now I don't have any of those because Doug is using those in the other room, so we're going to use a rag. We're going to get this loose. So I loosened that up. Pull your rag off. No marks. And I always go slowly. Just because it says that the water shut off, that doesn't mean that it really is. So we go slow, and the water is shut off. So we're going to take this apart. Take the cap off. I'm going to hand this to my photographer here. And then what I do is I take my channel locks and I just gently twist this a little bit, just to break the seal, because you don't want to crack this. And this is another sealant that keeps the plunger down. Now as you can see here, this is all full of corrosion, and it's been in here a long time. And this little air vent is right there, is in the wrong position. It should be facing the valve. So this actually should be over here, and that prevents the water knocking in the wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a flathead screwdriver. We're going to put it right here and go around it. We're going to break the seal. We're going to pull this up. Now this one's stuck, so there actually was a problem with this. And it's so corroded that we need to get this out of here. So there it is. There's your old one. Now these white ones, this white one here is a 3.5 gallon, and a 4.3 gallon is a black one. So as you can see here, this is all corroded up in here. Got hard water, calcium inside of there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to throw this piece in the garbage. But we're going to keep our white piece because those are good to have, because we can reuse those in other areas. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break loose the nut right here, because this nut is for the vacuum breaker. And you don't have to wrench on this, because you just want to do it lightly, because like I said, you don't want to make any marks on the metal. And if you think you have to wrench on it, then go get some pliers that have no teeth. But in this case, I know what I'm doing, so I don't have to wrench on it. So then you unscrew this nut, And if you want to look here, if we can zoom into here, and you see all that corrosion there, and a lot of that right there is why that's leaking. A lot of people think it's because it's a bad vacuum breaker, but it's because that's all full of corrosion. So we're going to loosen this right here. Quick turn. Loosen this out of here. Now we're going to wiggle this a little bit, turn it. You can turn it like that, and then we can pull this old vacuum breaker out of here with our hands. See how it's all calciumed up? Got calcium on it, and it's actually the tops. Look at that. So that's just all garbage. So what I like to do is I like to take some sandpaper, and then I like to go, I'm going to pull this out so I have room. So you can just pull this right out of the valve. We'll talk about this in a second. So if you look inside of there, you can see all that corrosion inside of there. You see it right there? So now you take your sandpaper and you can clean the whole inside. And you want to clean it really good. Otherwise, if you don't, you'll have to replace this tailpiece. A lot of people don't know about this, because if you put the new vacuum breaker in and you don't clean it, it's still going to leak. And you know what, sometimes it leaks a little bit anyway just because of the water pressure or stuff like that. There is no explanation for things, but at least you want to do what you can and what your part is and get all this out of here. So after you're done cleaning that, then you want to clean all the outside. Get all that calcium off of the vents. Plus it shines it up and makes it look nicer anyway. We want it to look nice for our students so that they have a nice place to use the restroom. So that looks a lot better. And what I also like to do is just run a little bit in here, just a little bit around here. Okay, so now this here is a water closet rebuild kit, and it's for a 3.5 gallon. See right there? Now if this was a urinal, it would say urinal, and it would say 1.0. Or this gallons for a new gallon toilet would say 1.6 gallon. So you can't put a 1.6 gallon in a 3.5 gallon because then it wouldn't flush. And then the difference is, like I told you earlier, is you need the white, because we took out the white. So if you had a green or black, the black one would probably work because you'd be getting more water, but the green one would not work. It would just half flush and go whoosh, whoosh. So you need to replace your stuff with identical parts. So what we're going to do first is we're going to put the new vacuum breaker in. I like these style. These are the Sloan V551s. That's the kind that I use. Those blue ones I don't like. These just happen to seal better. So you take the piece that comes with it and then you put it like that. And you see how that opens and closes there? That's That's what the water comes out. When these wear out, that'll just stay open, then it'll just leak through. So it continuously run. So, and then it has a little ring on it for a seal. So now the next thing we want to look at is what shape is this O-ring in? Well, this O-ring doesn't look very good. Let's look in our box and see if we have a new one. You see that O-ring's all full of crap? You wouldn't think there was this much stuff involved in this, but there is. So let's look. Okay, so we have an O-ring. And like I said, this is a full rebuild kit. This is model number 2VEE5 diaphragm repair kit. So you get everything. You get your O-rings, your vacuum breaker, you get your flush valve, and you get your handle rebuild kit for the handle. So you can do everything at once. The only thing you don't get is down here. You don't get the spud assembly, which that'll be another video at another time. That's the seal between this nut and the toilet when the water leaks out of here. The next video will show us how to replace that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this old if I can, what I usually do is I take a pair of pliers and I just pinch it, because I've used a knife several times and ended up cutting myself. So if I can do this, see, that's how I do it. And I just take the old one off. So then you want to take some sandpaper and you want to sand all that off and kind of clean it up. Oh, shut the door. So we'll sand that up and clean it up. Then we'll take some white grease, put a little bit on there. This is just so it doesn't slide, so that it'll slide in there smooth without breaking the seal of the new O-ring. We'll put our new O-ring on. So you pop that right on there like that. Okay, so if you don't do this, what will happen is when you go to retighten that, it'll drip from here constantly. And then you'll have to keep using tape or something if you don't have an O-ring. So that's how we want to do that. So what we'll do next is we'll take our little seal and we'll put it on top of our vacuum breaker. And then we'll put this inside here. We just twist it a little bit. Just a little bit. You don't want to shove it on there because you end up breaking the O-ring. So you keep twisting it back and forth. So you're not pinching it. Wiggle it a little bit. Put a little pressure on it. Okay, get everything to line up. You want to bring your nut up here. Sometimes it's a little tough to get it with that one little gasket in there. Got to work at it sometimes. See how it's just a little off? So I got to push this over just a little bit so that I can get it. Alright, I think we got it started. So we'll take this, we'll start tightening that a little bit. See how nice and smooth that goes out now? Then we'll tighten this into place. And see, I never grab this. When I do this, I never grab these like that. I just lay it on there and let the wrench do the work. So you don't mar it up. Okay, so the next thing we can try to do is we can loosen this nut right in here. Sometimes this is a little more tricky to do this part. But we'll try it for you anyway. And you see how gummed up that is there? It's actually even worn out right there. It's got a big gap in it and a hole and it's dried up. All right, so we're gonna put this back on now that we got it off and we replaced the rubber part. So you just put that back on. That was really worn out. So I may have to replace this part. Like I told you earlier, when these have been sitting so long in this well water, it really screws it up. So the seal was really bad. So what we're going to try to do here, get this back going, hopefully without having to replace it. We might have to replace this part. If so, I have one in the back. We'll just change this part out. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to take this and see that little hole right there? That's the vent hole. So we want to turn that, and that's got to be over here on this side, facing. It's got to be facing this way. Okay, and then we need the blue cover over there. We'll put the blue cover over here. Got our vent facing the right way. Then we'll put our regular cover on. Okay, and then we'll tighten the top cover. Everything else is pretty tight. Let's turn the water on. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll give this down here a little snug. See if it needs a little bit. It doesn't, so I don't really mess with it too much. Takes a little small army to get this stuff done. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that everything's tight now. So we tighten that up, right? And now we're gonna tighten this one. Make sure this is tight. Okay, that's tight. This is tight. And then this down here, I just give it a little tiny snug. I don't really turn it. If it doesn't want to turn, I don't turn it, because then you'll end up breaking the seal. It'll start leaking out of there. And now you want to turn your water on. And what I do is I don't turn the water on all the way, because especially this is a women's bathroom and men's too, but the water splashes up when it's on too high. So you don't want it up too high or you'll get complaints, but you want it on just enough so that it flushes. So what we're going to do is we're going to try it and see if there's any problems. And I like to always clean up my mess. That's why I carry a rag, and so that, like I say, you don't scratch anything up. So it all looks good there. So let's see what happens. Okay, I don't really see any leaks or anything. If you want to zoom in on that, I don't see no leaks anywhere. I don't see anything. It seems to be flushing really good. So the last thing you do, you want to take your security lock that you took off, and you want to place it on. And there you are. You just rebuilt the whole guts of a toilet. Thank you.